This is the Ride 15, and this is the Ride 16. Are they essentially the same shoe? Yes. Today we're going to talk about why. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, everybody? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. Today we're going to talk about a new shoe coming to you in April, and that is the Saucony Ride 16. If you remember, I loved the Ride 15 in 2022. It was one of my favorite shoes, and it made my best shoes of 2022 list, of course. You can check that video out here. And I have been putting quite a few miles on this shoe. I think I have about 26 in it at this point. Basically been reaching for it every time I've gone for a run, and it's because it feels just like the Ride 15 did. There are so many times that running shoe brands will put out a banger of a shoe and then the next version just kind of falls flat. Whether they change the upper or the midsole or something or another, it just doesn't feel the exact same as the predecessor did. Here, that is not the case at all. And I think it's a matter of Saucony just saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or don't try to fix it and then break it. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the similarities and differences between the Ride 15 and the Ride 16. We'll talk a little bit about the changes they've made to the Ride 16 here, and if you should shell out full price for the Ride 16 when it comes out or get a discounted Ride 15. But of course, before we do all that, let's watch the run footage where the specs will also be for the Ride 16. I just want to point out the fact that it is February 10th, I think 10th, let me see, yeah, I think 10th, and I'm wearing a t-shirt because it's 60 degrees outside, so, and last week it was like 20 degrees or less on Friday. Weird things are happening, I don't know. Before we get started today, I do want to let you know that the Ride 16 was sent to me by Saucony. However, they're not going to see this video. They can't tell me what to say, and all of my opinions are always my own. First, as always, we will start with the upper of the Ride 16. Saucony is using a strategically placed mesh here, and they say this is supposed to provide durability and breathability in the places that you need it most. The forefoot design has changed, and in the midfoot, it looks like there's a little bit more structure to it to hold you down onto that platform. Moving to the heel counter area, as you can see from the laces to the heel, there's like a suede stitching on top there, and we've also lost the pull tab. To be honest, the pull tab on the Ride 15 wasn't anything special, so I don't really miss it. But don't worry, you still have the nice padded gusseted tongue and plenty of padding around the ankle collar of the shoe for comfort. Looking at these two, you can see they are a little bit different. But what I will tell you is that when stepping into the shoe, it doesn't feel different. You're still gonna get that really comfortable feel from the upper that you did in the Ride 15. One of the things I really loved about the Ride 15 was just how comfortable the upper was, how it felt on the top of my foot. So when I saw the design was a little different, I was worried we were gonna lose some of that, but we didn't. I'm happy that Saucony found a way to give us a little bit more structure in that midfoot, but not totally change the feeling of the shoe. Turning the shoe over this way, I still do feel like I'm getting the same amount of room that I had in the midfoot and the nice amount of room I had in the forefoot of this shoe. No changes there really. Saucony is also saying that the Ride 16 has slightly higher sidewalls, so you're sitting into the shoe rather than sitting on top of the platform. And this just helps to create a better ride and better underfoot sensation. I didn't really feel that, but I'm glad that it's there. Maybe it's giving me a little more stability on the platform than I had previously. I had no issues with hot spots, blisters, or irritation here in the Ride 16, and I'm really happy they were able to make changes but not totally screw up the upper. Now to the midsole of the Ride 16, which is pretty much identical to the Ride 15. In the midsole, Saucony is using their Power Run foam. This is their most basic form of Power Run. It's not Power Run PB, not Power Run Plus, just plain old Power Run, just like we had in the Ride 15. I think the only difference here is that Saucony has included a Power Run Plus sock liner just to give you a teeny bit more cushion there in the midsole. But to be honest, it's not something that I really feel or notice, but that's not a bad thing. The Ride 16 provides you with the same exact smooth, soft, snappy sort of feeling and ride that the previous model did. Maybe it feels a touch more cushioned, but I think that's just because my Ride 15 has a lot of miles on it at this point, so it's probably wearing down a bit. In looking at this spec sheet that Saucony provided, they use a couple of different adjectives to describe this shoe. Consistent, smooth, fluid, and I think that all of those words properly describe the ride of the Ride 16. It has a nice flex to it, so it's not stiff. It's not overly cushioned for those who don't really like that type of ride, but it's not extremely firm for people who don't like that type of ride either. It sits perfectly in the middle of the road, waiting for you to take it out on the road. I have about 26 miles in the shoe, as I said earlier, and the majority of those miles have been easier, but I have done a couple faster spurts here and there. And the way that this shoe is able to get the turnover going and respond to what you want to do in a run is really cool and important to have in a running shoe that is supposed to be a daily trainer. It's supposed to be able to go easy, moderate, and a little bit faster if that's what the runner wants to do. It's what I loved about the Ride 15, and we lose none of that here in the 16. The only thing I wasn't really able to do was take this shoe out on double-digit runs because my PF was starting to flare up a bit, but I am tempted to try again here and see if it really wasn't this shoe's issue and it was just my PF, because my wife ran a full marathon in the Ride 15 and had absolutely no issues with it. And I am sure there are many other people who have run a marathon in this shoe. I mean, I totally would if my foot would allow it. I mean, really, it's next to identical, and if it keeps feeling this way, it'll also land on my best shoes of 2023 list, I'm sure of it. Moving down to the outsoles, they are also pretty identical. The Ride 16 has XT900 rubber, so it's supposed to be a little more durable. But my biggest gripe with the Ride 15 was that I didn't think the outsole was really that durable. Like, you have a pretty durable upper and midsole, but the outsole lacks in that department. Unfortunately, here in the Ride 16, I am seeing that still a bit. We have a lot of fraying on the exposed Power Run foam, and I am also seeing some smoothing out and degradation of that rubber. Try to put it here so you can see. Yeah. That being said though, this rubber on the road feels fine. I feel like it grips the pavement perfectly well. I have taken this on some weather days and haven't really had any glaring issues. So far, the worn down parts aren't really affecting the ride, but again, like, here's my Ride 15, and this has, I mean, probably close to 100 miles, and look, I mean, it's really kind of jacked up. I was hoping they were gonna make the outsole a little bit more durable, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker. I understand maybe they don't want to have to make the shoe more expensive, or they don't want it to alter the ride of the shoe, which is honestly more important to me. So I'll take a not so great outsole for the same feeling midsole. The Saucony Ride 16 will be available on April 4th for $140. But right now on runningwarehouse.com, they have discounted some styles, if not all of the Ride 15s that they have for under $100. So if you don't have the Ride 15 yet and you're kind of trying to decide whether you should get a discounted Ride 15 or just pay full price for the Ride 16, because you don't want to miss out on any of the new features, honestly, I'd probably tell you to save some money and go with the Ride 15 because they feel so similar. And the new stuff they did to the Ride 16 isn't anything that is a complete necessity to me. But if you've had the Ride 15 for a little bit, you need a new pair, you're trying to decide whether you should hold out and just wait for the Ride 16, yeah, I'd say it's worth it because it feels really good still and it has some upgrades. Either way, I love both of these shoes. I hope that it's come across in this video. They're both fantastic. You cannot go wrong. It might look simple, it might look basic and boring to some because it doesn't have any fancy foam or fancy plate, this or that or the other thing, but sometimes that's what us runners need, simplicity. If you're interested in picking up either the Ride 15 or the Ride 16, I will put links in the description of this video. Click those and pick up your own pair. Keep in mind those are affiliate links with Running Warehouse, however it doesn't mean much for you, it just helps out my channel so I can keep making these videos. As for me, because I've had the Ride 15 for a long period of time, I've been really enjoying the Ride 16. It really is the perfect everyday shoe. If you want one shoe in your collection that can go long, can go easy, can go moderate, can pick up the pace, I think this is a good option at a not super ridiculous price point. Thank you, Saucony, for changing it slightly and not totally ruining it. I look forward to many more miles in the Ride 16. Well everyone, that concludes my first run impressions of the Saucony Ride 16. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe, and when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell so you can find out every time I upload a new video. I'm kind of digging this color too, the gray with the highlighter yellow or green and the purple. Not bad, not bad. Have a new video for you next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller. See you next time.